Dragonball Evolution. To say this film is controversial would be a massive understatement. In the late 90s to early 2000s, the Dragon Ball franchise was quite possibly the biggest anime in the entire world. We also had Naruto, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, and many others, but none of them quite hit it like Dragon Ball did. And by no means is that any disrespect to any of the previous shows I just named. Dragon Ball Z was just so popular. For many years, there were rumors about a Dragon Ball Z movie eventually hitting the big screen. Most of those rumors fell flat, but what many people don't know is there actually is a Dragon Ball movie that came before Dragon Ball Evolution, titled The Magic Begins. I have seen this movie and I'm not quite the biggest fan of it, but who knows, to each their own, some people might really like it. That being said, this movie was so polarizing even before it hit theaters. I remember being 12 years old seeing the Dragon Ball Protest channel, which they haven't uploaded in a long time, but that was a very big thing. So considering Dragon Ball Superheroes is about to hit the entire world in just a few months, I figured, you know what? I'll go ahead and do a review of Dragon Ball Evolution. Not only are we going to be reviewing this movie, we're going to be looking at it in many different ways. How does it work as a film? And how does it work as a Dragon Ball film?
In a time before many can remember, our planet faced its greatest challenge. A warlord named Piccolo came from beyond the stars, bringing darkness and chaos to our once peaceful world. Aided by his disciple Ozaru, the evil pair brought the human race to the brink of annihilation. Cities and countries crumbled beneath them. Countless lives were lost. But finally, a group of brave warriors created the Mafuba, a powerful enchantment that imprisoned Piccolo deep within the earth. With his master captured, Ozaru disappeared, and balance was slowly restored to our world. And so it has remained for thousands of years, until now.
Narration in a movie can be very hit or miss. Personally, as a film, not necessarily a Dragon Ball film, I don't really find anything wrong with this, in terms of how they're going to tell the backstory. I think it would work a little bit better if they told it throughout the movie, though. Other than the poor CGI green screen, I honestly don't think that the beginning of this movie is that bad in terms of a film. It's just a sensei and a pupil going at it, which doesn't make too bad for a generic action comedy. Then we have him give Goku the Dragon Ball. Goku seems disinterested in the Dragon Ball, which is okay in terms of this being a movie, not necessarily a Dragon Ball movie. We then follow Goku to his high school, and yes, anybody who has seen Dragon Ball knows that Goku never went to high school, but right now we're only looking at it as a film rather than a Dragon Ball film. So Goku goes to his high school, and as we see all of these different cars in the school he goes to, which establishes that this exists in a different universe than our own, which is a pretty neat way of doing things, because Dragon Ball itself also exists in its universe of its own. It's not really like our Earth. Now our protagonist Goku is at his school, and all-pro quarterback Cam Newton tries to murder him. Yeah, I don't really know how this works in a Dragon Ball world or in its own established universe. That would have killed just about anybody who doesn't have the strengths of, Goku. So now we have a scene of Goku fantasizing to Chi-Chi eating strawberries. Which, I guess works in a comedy. Don't really like how it works in a Dragon Ball sense, but as I said, right now we're looking at it as a movie. So, moving on, we have Goku trying to impress Chi-Chi by opening the lockers with his key. He successfully does it, and then it allows us to transition into a later part of the film. So now, our lovable protagonist bails on his grandfather to go impress the girl at the party. He ends up beating up the bullies, and after he finishes the bullies, he ends up getting with the girl, and then he goes back to see that his grandfather is being killed. Something seems kind of familiar about this.
It's all yours, man. hijacker. He's been shot. Look, we just called the paramedics. They're on their way.
Hey, stay back.
Uncle Ben? Uncle Ben? Uncle Ben?
Peter.
Over here, Uncle Ben.
Peter.
Oh, that's what it is. So far, the first act of this movie has essentially just been Spider-Man 1, which, as a huge Spider-Man fan and as a huge Dragon Ball fan, I don't really think that these two coexist very well. They're not quite the same story. Yes, we do have our young protagonist, and he fights, a green guy, but that's really it. So let's hope this doesn't continue to just be a remake of Spider-Man. On to Act 2. So Goku buries Gohan and he goes back to the house to find his grandfather's gi. He's really interested in it, I guess, and then he meets a new character, Bulma. Bulma and Goku bicker for a little bit, and they realize that they have somewhat of the same motivation, so they team up to go find Muten Roshi as Goku's grandfather requested. They end up in the city of Paozu, and they end up finding him. Goku somehow knows how to sense where Muten Roshi is, so he goes over and they find him. So, Goku ends up going to Master Roshi's house. The two of them end up meeting him, and Goku and Master Roshi get into a fight. Master Roshi recognizes one of Goku's techniques, and he notices that it's taught by Gohan. Goku then introduces himself, and then the three of them all go on an adventure. And then they end up heading over to a tournament or a fight club or something. And now they're all at Fight Club. And Goku meets Chi-Chi. Once more. Which, to be honest, I'm pretty fond of this because it shows that Goku and Chi-Chi have something in common, rather than just being attracted to each other for the sake of being attracted to each other. There's actually a reason that they are. That's pretty cool. A lot of movies really fail to do that, especially in this era of movies. On their adventure, they go on to meet Yamcha. Yamcha traps the group in a little hole. After that, they end up getting out of it, and it turns out that Roshi knew how to jump out the entire time. Which, I'm not really sure why he did that, considering that earlier they stated they were in a time limit. Now, they've collected another Dragon Ball. So now the group heads over to some volcano of sorts, and they end up being interrupted by Piccolo's henchmen that I guess he makes out of his own blood. Goku beats them, and it's hardly an inconvenience for him. Later on in the plot, Muten Roshi and our good friend Ernie Hudson have teamed up to try to create the Mafuba so they can capture Piccolo once more. Goku is trying to learn the Kamehameha, and he is struggling with his ki very bad, as he's been doing through this entire movie. Chi-Chi uses herself as motivation so that Goku can do the Kamehameha. And, Bulma and Yamcha went off somewhere else. We don't really see them again for a hot minute. Meanwhile, Piccolo uses his special Namekian stuff to use Chi-Chi's blood, so Mai can end up cloning herself as Chi-Chi. Then the two of them get into a fight, and then Goku can't tell the difference in the two of them, even though he could literally sense people earlier in the movie. After that, Master Roshi uses a Kamehameha to revive Goku back to life. In other words, this movie has a tough time establishing how ki works in this universe, but moving on. If I can say, however, is Act 2 is not a retelling of Spider-Man. Well, on to Act 3 now. And the team uses some special Hummer hybrid Jeep thing, I guess made by Capsule Corp, to fly over and get to Piccolo. He has now collected all 7 Dragon Balls, but Goku is here to interrupt it. It turns out that, due to this eclipse, Goku will become the Oozaru. And a lot of people don't like the way this great ape looks. I don't like how it looks too much. My main gripes are with its tail and the fact that he's kind of small, but as we've said, this is being looked at as a movie, not a Dragon Ball movie. And Goku in his great ape form, or Oozaru form, ends up beating up a bunch of people, throwing some people around, starts to choke out Master Roshi, and then Master Roshi is with great power Master Roshi then says that in order to be one with himself, he must be two, or something along those lines, and how he has to have faith in who he is. Kind of like on Oozaru's, kind of like how he does in Dragon Ball GT becoming a Super Saiyan 4. So then, he's now Goku again, and he gets some Oozaru hybrid transformation thing, and then they fight for a little bit. really poorly choreographed. And then Goku decides to Kamehameha Piccolo, and I guess Piccolo does whatever his blast is. And then, fight's over, movie's over. Oh, but wait, this movie actually has a mid-credit scene. Not the worst one I've seen either. I've seen much worse. This sets up a sequel at least, and, whatever, but yeah, that's never happening. Ponder an idea here. Is this movie as bad as we say it is if it's not a Dragon Ball movie, if it's just a movie by itself? Let's just say we're gonna call Goku Jimmy Steve, and it's his story instead of the story of the Dragon Ball, and they're looking for, I don't know, the Chaos Emeralds. I still don't think it's a great movie, but it's a pretty generic action comedy like many other ones that I've seen. So in our new movie, Jimmy Steve's quest for the, let's just say, Chaos Emeralds, is this movie any good? Well, it does exist in its own universe. It doesn't feel like it's really copying off anything else, which is cool for originality. And its strongest point, other than that, would probably be James Marsters as, let's just call him Spike. But that's about it. I don't think it really holds anything special, and I don't really think it would have gotten a sequel if it wasn't a Dragon Ball movie either. So now let's go ahead and look at this as a Dragon Ball film. But before that, I'll go ahead and give you my rating of it as an actual film. Let's just say 65 out of 100. Many of you will probably think I'm being too generous, but hey, D's don't get degrees. Not great visuals, but not the worst I've ever seen. A little bit too reliant on CGI, and the CGI is not very good. The plot's pretty generic, and I don't really hate on anything for not having the most original plot. There's only 36 possible outcomes in all of fiction. But yeah, the plot's not great, the visuals aren't great, the acting is okay, and I gotta say, these guys actually aren't really bad actors. I think they get a little bit too much hate. For instance, if you've ever seen Shameless, Justin Chatwin is actually a pretty damn solid actor.
Ladies with mustaches and AK-47s. Oh, and I caught malaria too. That knocked me out for a few months.
That's bullshit.
And then I escaped into the jungle when the DEA showed up with the Federale. God's honest truth, I swear.
And who the hell is that?
That's my partner.
Your partner. As in your girlfriend?
No, my partner as in crime and shit. You're the one who talked. You got married?
What was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to sit on my porch knitting, hoping one day you'd show back up? You disappeared. Gone. Nothing.
I think you deviated my symptom.
Good. You're lucky I didn't have a knife. Oh, Jesus. Fuck.
I know.
You were going to college. You were...
Do I think he's a great Goku? Not necessarily. I think the only person in this movie that actually really portrays their character well is James Marsters. However, I can't really tell if he's supposed to be King Piccolo or if he's supposed to be Piccolo Jr., but I thought he's alright in the movie. I'd also like to add that he's pretty dedicated in this movie, and he seemed to really care about the project. I'm really happy that he actually got to play Zamasu in the English dub of Dragon Ball Super. That being said, I don't really think any of these actors or actresses necessarily did a bad job. They kind of just worked with what they had. But you know what? I've been saying for too long that we're going to go ahead and review this as a Dragon Ball movie, so let's go ahead and do that. The biggest issue I have with the narration is that the Namekians and the Saiyans aren't really connected in any way other than the Frieza saga, and that is long after when this would technically take place. That being said, DC and Marvel do things like this for sport at this point. This is a little weird, but you know what? I can allow it as a Dragon Ball fan for right now, in my own personal taste. So now we go into the scene of Gohan and Goku training on the wires. I think this film would benefit a lot as a Dragon Ball film if Goku was just a little bit younger. You don't necessarily need to make him 9 or 10, but 13 or 14 would make a lot of sense. I don't mind Gohan still being alive. They also did it in Magic Begins. I just kind of wish that they wouldn't have deviated too much from the source material on that. And yeah, the background looks bad, but I mean, half the Marvel movies have awful CGI, and that's never really talked about. Rewatches, I really can't get behind Goku being in high school. But there is one way I would appreciate it more in this movie, and it's if he had a friend. That friend being somebody like Krillin. That would be a good way to establish the universe more and allow him to have somebody on his journey, not just him traveling with a bunch of strangers. But at the end of the day, I can't really get behind this, and I don't think I would have liked it more if Krillin was in it to begin with, because I would have still not liked it. I'll say, however, this scene right here is definitely something Goku would have said.
Just because my name is Chi-Chi doesn't make me a complete idiot.
Right, because there's a lot stupider names than Chi-Chi.
And I also like that in the background it says established in 1989. That is actually when Dragon Ball Z came out. So, moving on, story, I don't really like the whole thing of Goku skipping out on eating. That's very out of character for him. And yes, I don't mind that he actually has a crush on Chi-Chi in this movie. A lot of people didn't like that he wasn't like how he was in the anime, how he was thinking that a wedding was a dinner. But you know what? I don't think that that should be a big deal. I do believe that he should prioritize food and like little dumb things over stuff like that, but him actually having a crush on Chi-Chi, in my opinion, is not that big of a problem. I also don't really have much of a problem with the whole Yamcha thing. A lot of people didn't like that Yamcha was not trying to fall in love and that he was just kind of a desert bandit, which is something he also is in the anime, might I add. And a lot of these same people would probably not get upset about the fact that Flash Thompson is essentially a completely different character in the MCU, but will complain about something like this, so I don't really see a big issue with this. I will say, however, I don't understand the producer or whoever's idea it was to have Bulma not have blue hair, because I guess it's not realistic. Even though blue hair is not the most uncommon thing in the world. Yes, it's not a naturally occurring color, but why is this not a thing? Oh yes, the infamous airbending thing. Okay, I cannot get behind this one at all. I've never really been big into Avatar: The Last Airbender, and a lot of people have recommended it to me. Maybe one of these days I will check it out. Nevertheless, I can't really get behind the whole airbending thing because Ki is just an essential part of Dragon Ball. And I don't understand why they couldn't have focused in on that a little bit more. Speaking of Ki, I don't like that Goku doesn't really understand how to use it. In the beginning of Dragon Ball, you see that Goku can learn the Kamehameha right away. However, I do think that there is a better way to do this. It was done in the movie Dragon Ball Path to Power, where he doesn't have the strongest Kamehameha right away, but he gets it eventually. I think that could have been a really, really good way to establish that. I also think this movie could have benefited from being about 45 minutes to an hour longer. I think that we could have done a lot if we established Piccolo's character more, because we really never understand how he got out of the Mafuba. We never really understand his character's motivation or who they were beforehand. And you could always say just watch the anime or read the manga, but this is very different from the anime or manga. So, as a Dragon Ball movie, I would actually have to rate this probably a 2 out of 10. I think that it does do some things fairly well, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't click for me as a Dragon Ball movie. As an action comedy, it's okay, but as a Dragon Ball movie, not really my thing. I do believe that we can get a really good Dragon Ball movie at some point, or a Dragon Ball Z movie. I think it would be better to start off with Dragon Ball, so that we can establish all of the previous characters. I also believe that with a sequel, this movie could have actually potentially been fixed, but the fans didn't like it, so ultimately, it couldn't happen. But we can always look to the future and hope for a better Dragon Ball movie. However, there's been a lot of really good fan projects out there. Some examples being Fall of Men, Light of Hope, or the K&K Productions Dragon Ball Saiyan Saga trailer. I believe that this is just the beginning of creating really good Dragon Ball content. For one thing, just last year, we never thought we'd see all 3 Spider-Men together. So, to be honest, a good Dragon Ball movie doesn't seem far away. Let's see.